On 23rd June, the medieval ages of India ended and her modern age started. This sweeping statement is made by Sir Jadunath Sarkar regarding one important event in Indian history, that is Battle of Plassey. But how can one battle decide the fate of entire civilization? Hi, I'm Bharat Vodera and I welcome you all to the 4th episode of the Love of History series. In this episode, I have with me Mr. Raj Malhotra. He's not just a history expert, but also my teacher, and as I fondly calls him, my Tamil Mushal. So, in this episode, we are going to decode how this one single battle, how this one event changed the course of Indian history. So, hi Raj sir, I welcome you to this show.
Thank you very much.
I want you to share your insights on the Battle of Plassey, how it all started, and what significance this battle holds for the Indian history.
Okay, so if you want to understand that how Battle of Plassey is significant or how it changed the course of Indian history, so what we need to understand is that the British East India Company, when they came in 1600, they were one among the many competitors who were trying to get monopoly over Indian trade. Before them, the Portuguese already had that monopoly and they were to compete against many other European powers, the most prominent being the French. And the French, who were led by the time the Plassey is to take place, they were led by Dupleix, a very clever man, who already has started making plans that how to take help from the princes of India to create forces in India to take control over India to the disadvantage of the British. Now that had been the plan of Dupleix. Somehow, one thing, while people believe that it was Wellesley who started with the subsidiary alliance, the idea originated in the mind of Dupleix much before the British could introduce it. So rather, Clive will learn lessons from him. And after Buxar, Allahabad Treaty will have some signs of this subsidiary alliance as well. So what happened is, British wanted to have monopoly over this trade for obvious reasons so that it becomes most profitable thing. But they have to compete against not just the European, they also have to agree to the demands, whether reasonable or unreasonable, according to their perception of the Indian rulers. And at that point of time, by the time when Plassey is to happen in 1757, it's been more than almost 50 years that Aurangzeb has died, who died in 1707. The Mughal administration is now crumbling, the empire is shaking, and the regional powers are rising, and nobody's bothered like what kind of rules are being followed and if the company has any special privilege or not. In 1717, 10 years after death of Aurangzeb, Farooq Siyar, while he wanted to marry some beautiful girl and he was not able because of a fistula, and at that point of time John Sulman was here in India along with Hamilton, and Hamilton could see the pain in his so he operated. The surgery was performed with perfection and the price was paid by India. We gave them that golden farman, it is Magna Carta, duty-free trade against a payment of mere 3,000 rupees annually. From there, the British company started understanding the importance of getting political control over India. Now, on the other hand, in Europe, the wars between British and French, they were a very routine thing during those days. And be it the Austrian War of Succession or 7 Years' War, all these wars have always brought the British and the French against each other. They were not just competing for control in India or Indian subcontinent, they were also fighting for control in Americas. So the New World. French were there in Canada, British were there in America. So they were fighting on all sides. While they were fighting on all sides, they wanted to keep their stronghold intact. Now in India, when the British found that the French are trying to gain bigger grounds, at that point of time, this event happened. In Europe, 7-year war has started in 1756. It will lead to the Third Carnatic War automatically. The British and the French knew it. They started getting more and more weapons. The fortification began. The young Nawab, Sirajuddaula, he is very young, little inexperienced, and little disturbed from his own family. His aunt, his Masi, Kasiti Begum and all, they are not very happy because their kids have not
the usual things in Indian families.
Yes.
Especially the royal families.
Yes. It's not about just Indian family, it's any and every royal family. European history is full of these examples.
That's true.
All right. So now at this point of time, Siraj is young, inexperienced, but he has been advised by his people that let's ask these British and the French companies not to bring arms and armaments to our area and not to destabilize this region because of their personal animosity. So Nawab asked the companies to refrain. French somehow agreed. The British continued. Nawab sent his forces. That led to that infamous or famous black hole tragedy, the story of Holwell. True or not true, perhaps Netaji Subhash Chandra was to again emphasize in 1940 that it was a lie when he performed that anti-Holwell Satyagrah. So in that tragedy, some 123 people died. Now Nawab has been demonized, and this will lead to Plassey. Before this Plassey will happen, the demon has shown his face. Clive has shown that there can be forgery. Watson's sign can be forged. He has shown that conspiracies can be hatched. People can be bought. Fake promises can be made. Be it the Jagat Seth, be it Omi Chand, anyone and everyone. They are being, bribed, and the conspiracies are being made, hatched. And now the fateful day came, 23rd of June and 1757 in the battlefield where Mir Jafar, the commander-in-chief, who had already sided with the British, who has already cheated on Nawab. And obviously before the battle started, Sirajuddaula has lost the battle. And then on the orders of Miran, Siraj was beheaded. Now, what happens? Bengal, the richest province, is at the feet of the British. They are now the kingmakers. What is the fate of Bengal? Bengal has become a puppet state in the hands of the British. They will install and then they will remove the Nawabs at their free will. And with every installation and removal of the Nawab, they will get more and more money. With this money, they will be able not only to dislodge the French competition. Somehow, many of the historians will also say that this will also help the British Industrial Revolution, that will further make the India more and more a place to be exploited for British development. But on the other hand, French competition eliminated, British got extra resources, and the real drain of wealth has now started. The British conquest of India has become a self-sustaining or a self-financing enterprise. So the history has changed.
That's very beautifully put by you, sir. So here we need to understand that it was a private company of traders that came to exercise political power in India. And that transition was enabled by the local politics of India as well as by the European politics, as aptly explained by Raj sir. Because the 7 Years' War was going on at that point of time in Europe, the French and the English companies started competing in India as well. So that one thing led to the other, and in Bengal, the English started fortifying themselves. But sir, Bengal had always been ruled by strong Nawabs. We hear about Murshid Qali Khan, we hear about Ali Wardi Khan. But then how were they able to maintain control, and why was Siraj not able to maintain control?
I suppose I just answered it a moment ago that he was young, inexperienced, and moreover, the decline was, or it will never ever be, a sudden decline. Even after death of Aurangzeb, the decline of the Mughal that started in, it became more visible after half a century. So similarly, after people like Murshids and Ali Wardis, the likes of Siraj, they will appear, and then the entire edifice will crumble.
That's true. That's true. And sir, you hinted upon that conspiracy part, that how the conspiracy was hatched by Robert Clive, the role played by Watson or not played by Watson. Can you please elaborate on the conspiracy part?
Nothing. It was like people sitting together and discussing that how Siraj is to be dethroned, and the meeting has been arranged by the rich man Jagat Seth and the bankers Omichand brothers, and Siraj is to be replaced, and who is to be given the throne? It is Mir Jafar. Who is Mir Jafar? He is the commander-in-chief. So all those sitting there, what will Mir Jafar get out of this deal? The Nawabship. What will British get out of the deal? The special privileges. But where are the privileges or anything, any worthwhile deal for Omichand? very upset. He said, I will spill the beans. Give me something worthwhile to keep the secret intact. So Clive offered him something to which Watson obviously did not agree, and he then tried to convince Watson like it is just a promise that will never be kept. So Watson said, see, this is not me. This is not what British are. He said, you don't know what British are actually. So we say and we do different things. And if you do not understand what British are, so thank you very much, Mr. Watson. You can sleep well.
In fact, I think Bismarck took lessons from the British
Yes.
in making fake promises.
And then he forged the signatures of Watson, promising Omichand that you will get a handsome share after the dethroning of or after the elimination of Siraj. But once Siraj is done, to whom to complain and from whom to get the reward? It was like fighting a defeated battle.
That's true. So, on 23rd June 1757, the Battle of Plassey was fought, and it was less of a battle and more of a skirmish, because the largest contingent of the Nawab's army, it did not even participate in the battle. That largest contingent, of course, was led by the commander-in-chief Mir Jafar, who was already hands in glove with Robert Clive. So, that largest contingent did not even participate in the battle. Of course, the Nawab himself did fight very bravely, but he couldn't do much. So the result was a foregone conclusion. The British won the day and they removed Siraj. He was beheaded by Mir Jafar's son Miran, and then British became the kingmakers in Bengal. Now just imagine, a company of traders, a commercial entity has become a kingmaker in the richest and one of the most powerful provinces of India. So from here, the story of Indian civilization takes almost a U-turn, a dramatic turn, because from Plassey started the process of conquest of India, the British conquest of India, and like Raj sir has mentioned, it was a self-sustaining process. The beauty of the process from the point of view of the British was that they did not even have to pay for this conquest. We as Indians, we paid for our process. Because the loot, the plunder, the taxes, the revenue that the British took from India, that was used to finance the British conquest of India. But that is the story that will come to in the subsequent episodes of this series. That's all as far as this episode is concerned.